Chapter 7. The Flat Deck Music Appreciation Society. Charlene sat cross-legged in her VIP booth at the club. Across from her sat the mayor of Mountain River, one of her earliest clients.
Charlene, you really have to help me.
What is it this time, sweetie? Did your zipper get you into trouble again?
You know me too well. Can you make this story go away?
Of course, sweetie. Give me her name and number. I'm sure she will see the benefits of silence with enough encouragement. You did bring along some encouragement, didn't you?
The mayor slid an envelope thick with bills across the table.
Her name and number is inside.
Charlene opened the envelope and gave the thick wad of bills a ruffle with her thumb before closing it again.
You'll have to do me a favor in return, sweetie.
Anything for you, darling.
Find me an address that goes with this plate.
She passed him her cell phone with a picture of the back of Luke's Challenger. The mayor speed-dialed the number for the chief of police. Within a minute, he scribbled a rural address on a bar napkin and pushed it to Charlene.
Thanks, sweetie. Take care now.
The mayor got up and pulled on his coat. He leaned to pass around the profoundly large boy toy that was standing guard at Charlene's table. Charlene took a long look at the address on the napkin and swallowed the last ounce of her drink before leaving the bar to find this man. The low rumble of her car's AMG engine echoed intermittently off the trees, growing to the edge of the rural lane. Luke's address was far off the beaten path, nestled in the thick forest along the river. She heard loud music as she rounded the final corner to the yard. Several dozen vehicles were scattered in all directions. Some were in obvious states of mid-repair. Others were works of automotive art, gleaming still under the setting sun. She recognized the new truck used by the band she had just signed. A dozen musicians were playing their hearts out on a lowboy transport trailer. Two drummers were providing the beat for a trailer full of guitar players, singers, hangers-on, and bass players. She parked her car and went looking for Luke. She found him at the back of his shop, wearing a grin and sucking back a beer.
Well, look who shows up uninvited.
You're a hard man to track down.
And not if you know where to find me. I'm usually here. This is my happy place. No women, good tunes, cold beer.
Well, if there are no women and cold beer, I'm in.
Charlene walked into the vintage refrigerator. Walked to the vintage refrigerator at the back of the shop. Opened the door and pulled out 2 beer. She looped one expertly behind her back, flying it straight at Luke's face. He caught it by instinct as she opened her own.
So, how do you know all these riffraff?
I am, as they say, a patron of the arts. I provide the beer and a place to play, and I get to enjoy some fine free music.
Well, I recently got into music management myself. I see you already know the boys in my band.
Ray and the boys? Saw them down at the club and invited them out. They're pretty good.
Yes, but they're Canadian, so talent is not enough. Thank goodness they have sex appeal, though.
She clinked beer cans with Luke and sat close behind him on the fender of his Challenger. She moved along to the beat of the music and calculated the number of beers she would have to pour into him before he became compliant. Touching his bicep through his shirt, she guessed at least a dozen. With that, she tipped her head back and shot the rest of her beer can like a regular Alberta girl.
rice, 10 cakes would be nice. We don't wanna run dry. Wasn't the band all the same as the next man, except that they drank for 4 or 5. People gonna know there's a party going on as soon as they hear their first country song. Play a little fast, play a little loud. It's just the sort of thing you need a giant crowd. So move out the tubes, move out the cars. Open the band, come to play some guitar. Open the big door and open the bar. The boys in the band gonna play some guitar. Play it, Ken.
Thank you.
Chapter 8, Luke's Love Loss. Charlene awoke to the smell of bacon and coffee and sex. Sunlight poured through the open window, accompanied by a mountain breeze. She stretched and yawned, pausing to smile about her newest conquest and an athletic night of pleasure. She oriented herself in Luke's bedroom and spotted a shirt of his that was cast off on the floor. She rolled out of bed and threw it on to hunt down her prey, or at least the breakfast he was cooking.
Good morning. Missy, coffee?
Sure. Or tequila.
Sorry, the musicians drank us dry. Besides, it's too early for that.
Twirling her long ponytail, Charlene sidled up beside him.
Is it too early for this?
She planted a long kiss on him, climbing up his body with her long legs. He lifted her up until she was off the ground, then walked over to the nearby table and deposited her unceremoniously in a chair.
Breakfast first. Then I need to get to my chores. Daylight's burning.
Charlene sat stunned, sharing a look with the demons that circled the room. The dark creatures shared in a frustration of being close to their prey, but unable to close the gap. Charlene had never been refused, so for her, the sting was fresh, and the demons regarded her with some hellish semblance of pity. Luke finished plating a farm breakfast for each of them, then topped up both their coffees.
Last night was really nice. I want you to know that was special.
Well, I've been around a lot longer than those boys you hang out with. Experience counts, I guess.
Yeah, it seems to.
Charlene let a shiver run through her. She knew this game and how to play the prey. She reached out to touch his hand. He took it and raised it to his lips for a kiss.
Look, I gotta tell you that I'm not really looking for things to get complicated. I've had enough complications in my life.
Charlene was taken aback again.
What? I thought we were friends.
Friends, sure. You could even say friends with benefits, but I'm finished with anything more than that. Same as I'm finished with drinking to a stupor and fighting every chance I get. It's the benefit of experience. I don't have to do things that I know are going to hurt a lot.
Somebody hurt you? Come on. Tell me all about it, lover boy.
When I was a young man, well, I drink till I drop. You give me a bottle, baby, I wouldn't stop. I chase pretty women, get slapped in the face. I left a big mess all over the place. Yeah, one pretty woman, she asked me to dance. She gave me a smile and she showed me romance. I gave her a ring on the very next day. Well, she kept me sober till she went away. I fell off the wagon right under its wheels. At least on this morning, honey, that's how it feels. Tried to forget you and drink, but instead this heartache of mine, it has gone to my head. I should have suspected, brother, I should have known. She'd head out every night from our home, off to the dance hall to kick up her heels, steal a few kisses and cop a few feels. She danced with the ranch hands or any old jerk. She'd dance with a postman while I was at work. She'd dance anytime and with any live man, except me, her husband. I guess that was her plan. I fell off the wagon right under its wheels. At least on this morning, honey, that's how it feels. Tried to forget you and drink, but instead this heartache of mine, it has gone to my head. It had to end, it had to stop. One Saturday night, I blew my top. I asked her to change her evil ways. Well, she just smiled and laughed in my face. Well, now that I am back with my friends, Mr. Daniels and Walker always comprehend the perils of leading a respectable life when some pretty girl becomes your wife. I fell off the wagon right under its wheels. At least on this morning, honey, that's how it feels. Tried to forget you a drink, but instead this heartache of mine, it has gone to my head. I said this heartache of mine, it has gone to my head. This heartache of mine has gone to my head.
Everybody likes a little country.
Charlene couldn't help herself. More often than she wanted, she would make her way from the crowd at her private table to join Luke at the bar, talking war stories with Lucky. Sometimes she would ride back out to the country in the right seat of his Challenger. She couldn't quit the feeling of being in his strong arms, being submissive, accepting his energy instead of taking it by domination. Riding with him down the dusty back roads to his place, arm out the window and sun beaming down, she went back to her childhood, before young love and lust had turned everything bad for her. Her father had driven her through the country roads in the foothills in his rusty old truck. Her hand flew through the air outside the window as they bounced and rattled their way on the old roads. All of the darkness was washed from her soul in these moments. The old fissures in her heart started to heal, riding down those country roads. Chapter 9, Cowboy Bacchanalia. Slowly but surely, Charlene got Luke to join her and the kids at her table at Lucky's. She would pat the bench beside her, and space would be made for him to sit beside her. The boys in the group still eyed him warily, and the girls in the group had stopped harassing him after a quick glance from Charlene. The conversations of the past months had led to new conversations and laughter, and despite all protests to the contrary, Luke appeared to be enjoying himself. On the first Friday in July, the entire mob showed up dressed like extras from Hee Haw.
Come on, Charlene, come stampeding with us.
Charlene leaned on Luke's arm.
Hey, cowboy, you want to go for a ride?
Well, it has been a long time since I stepped in any real horse shit. All right, let's go.
The crew piled out of Lucky's and into a half-dozen cars and trucks. Luke went to open the door on the Challenger when Charlene got into her Mercedes. She lowered the passenger window and called out to him.
You riding with me today, cowboy? Riding in style.
Yes, ma'am.
Luke put his keys back in his jacket and slid into the passenger seat of the AMG. An hour later, the hotel valets held the door open for them as they were ushered into a long limousine for a ride to the fairgrounds. All the girls and a few lucky boys were already in the back, drinks in hand, with VIP badges on colored lanyards and boxes of brand new Stetsons. As Charlene and Luke were seated in the bucket seats at the back of the car as hats, boots, and booze came their way. By the time they reached the stock owner's entrance to the grounds, drunk girls in cowboy hats were hanging out the sunroofs and screaming out, They flashed their passes at the entrance to a ringside suite and watched world-class rodeo and drank cold lime margaritas. As the margaritas turned to straight tequila, a knock on the door announced a very large pair of security staff. Two large, gorilla-shaped men led them through the velvet ropes and lines leading to Cowboy's saloon. The summer heat had permeated the huge room, amplifying the smell of straw, beer, and hormones filling the space between plaid cowboy shirts and short denim shorts. Patrons were crowding like schools of fish at feeding time around scantily clad servers selling cold beer from ice-filled cattle troughs. Random screams of yee-haw made it over the sound of the band pounding on stage. Charlene smiled up at Luke and gave him a playful hip check.
Welcome to the greatest show on earth, baby.
With that, she caught the eye of the nearest server, laid herself backwards over a barrel covered in horse blankets, and waited for the woman to pour a shooter into her mouth from the shot glass held in her cleavage. Licking the sweet liquor from her lips, she turned to Luke.
Okay, lover, your turn.
Well, in a proud tradition, going back to 1912, a bunch of rowdy cowboys come and try and hurt themselves. Riding bulls and broncos, roping colts and calves. The ladies come to watch them in them skin-tight jeans and chaps. Y'all come on and party at the Calgary Stampede. It's a bunch of brand new cowboys with some shiny pedigrees. Cowgirls all look lovely with smiles for all to see. Y'all come on and party at the Calgary Stampede. In the bar, the bears are named. The cowboys come to party. Cowgirls come to shake their thing, get a little naughty. The smell of spring is in the air, a breeze would sure be welcome. But if you want to dance with me, I'm sure that would be swell then. Come on and drink triple at the Calgary Stampede. It's a bunch of brand new cowboys, their tongues down by their knees. Cowgirls dress up pretty and seem inclined to please. Come on and drink triple at the Calgary Stampede. I'd like to raise a toast to the fine men and animals of the Calgary Stampede. Please note that these categories are not mutually exclusive. To the Cowboys! If it gets too hot in summertime, the shorts they do get shorter. But you need more than just boots and hat to get you through the door, sir. Some skin-tight jeans will make the scene and put you in the saddle. So make sure there's no bronchian bug that you're about to straddle. Drink triple, see double at the Calgary Stampede. It's a bunch of brand new cowboys and they're tongued down by their knees. Cowgirls all look lovely and seem inclined to tease. Come on, drink triple at the Calgary Stampede. To propose a toast to the beautiful, intelligent, and kind-hearted ladies of the Calgary Stampede. Drink up, boys, this may be the only shot you have with these ladies. To the Cowgirls! Your new boots make a blister on your tender feet. Well, you might find some honey to feel nice and sweet. Treat the girls like sisters, there's nothing new to see. Please only kiss your cousins when you're in Calgary. Drink triple, see double, act single at the Calgary Stampede. It's a bunch of brand new cowboys standing tall upon their knees. Cowgirls all look lonely, so missy if you please. Drink triple, see double, act single at the Calgary Stampede. I'd like to propose one last toast to the greatest outdoor show on earth. 2 simple rules to remember. Feed your horse before you go drinking, and if you're drinking, don't go driving. To the Stampede! See triple, drink double, act single at the Calgary Stampede.
Chapter 10. He held her purse today. The limousine deposited them back at the hotel with night almost over and pink streamers of light making cotton candy out of the high clouds. Charlene and Luke were escorted to the private penthouse by a porter. As he opened the door, Luke swept up Charlene in his arms, their faces smashed together as he struggled to see the way to the bedroom, all the while kicking off his painful new boots. They fell clumsily onto the king-size bed and frantically tore off each other's clothes. Charlene's boots came off one hard tug at a time, Luke lifting her clean up off the bed as he struggled to help. They laughed together as they teased and pulled at each other, neither giving quarter until they both lay exhausted on the bed. They crawled into a semblance of squareness with the arrangement of the bed and fell asleep, tangled together and moving only enough to breathe softly. Luke awoke to Charlene, gazing softly at him, inches from his face and cradled in his arms.
Good morning.
He put his hand to his mouth, embarrassed by how his breath must smell after a month's worth of tequila shooters. Charlene pulled his hand back and kissed him tenderly. She pulled herself close to his body, caressing him with her fingers until before he knew it, they had made soft, gentle love one more time.
I hate to admit it, but you're winning me over.
Why do you hate to admit it? I'm not so bad, am I?
She averted her gaze for just a moment, briefly unable to reconcile what she was becoming with what she was. Before she could speak, before she could break, he took her chin with his fingers and turned her face back to him. He closed his eyes and she leaned in to kiss him.
You are bad, baby. That's part of why I love you.
Charlene nestled her head into his chest, his strong heart beating in her ear and the smell of his body in her nose.
Well, that was quite the first day of stampeding. What does the second day have in store?
Stores. Exactly. Lots of stores.
What do you mean?
Charlene lifted her head and rested her chin on his chest to look at him.
I have nothing to wear. We have to go shopping. I want to find something pretty for you.
Okay. I guess shit just got real.
Charlene moved both hands under her chin to cushion his chest and started kicking her feet behind her one at a time like a schoolgirl on the telephone.
Ooh, yes, sir. You're gonna get it now, mister.
I love a girl with a twinkle in her eye, pretty little dress twist round her thigh. I love a girl who'll dance all night, give me kisses and hold me tight. I love a girl who makes me mad just to make up and make me glad. I love a girl who's made up her mind, solid to give me all her time. That's the one I love. That's the one I love.
I love a boy all dressed in blue, bad attitude and a mean tattoo. I love a boy who's rough and tough, soft and gentle when I'm close enough. I love a boy who makes me cry, makes me laugh and makes me sigh. I love a boy who'll take me far, driving all night in his gleaming car. That's the one I love. That's the one I love.
Keeps me warm, keeps me happy with all her charm. I love a girl so soft and sweet that she knocks me off my feet. I love a girl who can be mad, makes me jealous and makes me mad. I love a girl who drives me crazy, I won't ever let my love get lazy. That's the one I love. That's the one I love.
I love a boy with wandering eyes, tells me stories of the sweet wild eyes. I love a boy who brings me flowers, brings me pepper and cries for hours. I love a boy who runs my way, shakes his head and runs away. I love a boy who drives me crazy, won't let my love get lazy.
That's the one I love. 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 Ruth, play, everybody.
Chapter 11. The Iron Horse We Ride. Charlene heard an unfamiliar rumble outside her house, the thundering sound of a V-twin motorcycle. Looking through the window, she saw Luke stop and drop the kickstand on a big black Harley Davidson and pull off his helmet. She opened the door to bright sunshine and walked to the still ticking motorcycle.
What's this?
This is a beach vacation in disguise, baby. I got it off Larry for doing his Nova.
From the back of the bike, Luke pulled a second helmet. He lobbed the helmet, and she caught it with a quick motion of her hand.
I'm going to take a trip to California and sit on a beach and take a vacation. I was thinking that you might want to join me. But if you don't, hang on to that helmet for me.
Are you crazy?
Crazy about you, baby.
Charlene looked him all over. The demons of the ghost world were more distraught than ever, blocked further and further away from Luke's body and spirit. Then she looked into his eyes and saw something forgotten. He loved her. Just her. Only her. She remembered how that was, how she thought love was supposed to be.
All right, you crazy boy. I'll be your bitch for a trip. What do I need to bring?
Boots and a jacket, passport. You got a credit card, I got a credit card. Anything we need, we buy on the way.
She tossed the helmet back to him and went to grab her things. She returned wearing a fringed leather jacket and thigh-high stiletto boots. Sunglasses were perched on top of her head.
Those aren't very practical boots for riding a bike, babe.
You're not planning on letting me fall, are you, Luke?
Oh no, baby. No, I'm not.
Luke mounted the bike's saddle and held out his hand to help Charlene on behind him. They both donned their helmets and put on their sunglasses. Luke hit the starter button on the big V-twin, roared to life. Turning slowly onto the southbound road, Luke and Charlene were soon cruising in the wind, headed toward the 49th and lower parallels.
Sitting on a stand, she's shining like a jewel. She's 2/3 chrome, totally cool. Pipes on the right where they're supposed to go. They buck out a sound that's a sweet and low. A little bit of throttle and a whole lot of kicking. Come on and ride, baby, it be bitchin'. Baby, ride with me. See to shine and see. Baby, ride the wild Harley. Got a throbbing engine between my legs. Shakes my hips up through the pegs. Right behind me, there's a place for your ass. You need a little bit of leather and a whole lot of sass. Baby, ride with me. See to shine and see. Baby, ride the wild Harley. Body along my back. Get a little bit closer when the throttles crack. Big V-twin, keep us nice and tight. Got my right hand crank, gonna ride all night. Baby, ride with me. 'Cause it's back country. Baby, ride with me.
Chapter 12. Sand gets into everything.
This is going to be fun. If any of you have sandals, feel free to come and join us. See you later down by the pier with some sand on your shoes and a hand on a beer. Come and count some waves with me under the pale moonlight. Come feel the motion of the ocean. Come and kiss me on a beach tonight. We'll do the tango out on the strand. The unexpected will dance. All I got planned just to be with you under the pale moonlight. Come feel the motion of the ocean. Come and kiss me on a beach tonight. Get off the sidewalk, baby, kick off them heels. Dance with some waves and just feel how that feels. I'll be with you when the sun goes down. This beach vacation, baby, ain't messing around. I'll build a castle for you, all made of sand. It won't be half as nice as what you got planned. Come and share some dreams with me under the pale moonlight. Come feel the motion of the ocean. Come and kiss me on a beach tonight. I'll make a castle for you, I'll make it grand. I'll make it just as nice as what you got planned. Come and make some dreams with me under the pale moonlight. Come feel the motion of the ocean. Come and kiss me on a beach tonight. Come feel the motion of the ocean. Come and kiss me on a beach tonight. Come feel the motion of the ocean. Come kiss me on a beach tonight. That's it.
Thank you. It had been 3 long days from Mountain River to Los Angeles, pushing the bike hard, blasting across the plains and through the mountains. Charlene's black card rented a hotel villa looking out over the brilliant blue Pacific with long sand beaches as far as you could see. They didn't set foot on the beach for the first 3 days. Luke and Charlene made love to each other over and over, again and again, spending every ounce of effort every time in a mad pursuit of carnal bliss. Charlene's wounded heart healed, stitching itself whole again, allowing Luke in, allowing him to share and show his love for her, allowing him to reflect the parts of her that she had lost and forgotten. On the 5th night in California, Charlene snuggled against Luke's sleeping body. She had finally worn out her warrior, and he lay defeated and helpless beside her. She cradled her head in the pillow and closed her own eyes. Within moments of her body laying down, she began to rise above the bed, and she was transported to the devil's retreat. On a patio overlooking a mountain lake, she was clothed in yards of sheer black fabric, draped from her wings and bands of gold around her horns. As the devil turned to approach her, she recoiled from the horror of his sight and the horror of what she had become. With clawed hands, she grasped her horns, pulling as if to tear them from her head. The devil locked gaze with hers, and his expression turned from delight to fury in an instant. As he lunged at her, she arched her back and her wings and tore through them with her claws, leaving rags of black and red flesh. She closed her eyes and recoiled inwardly, falling through the darkness until she felt herself falling in her body back onto the bed beside Luke. She had never even moved, and he had never even moved, and was still snoring softly. She rose and poured herself a drink in the kitchen. She could not sleep again that night. She woke Luke at 5 a.m.
Baby, I've got to go.
Luke squinted the sleep out of his eyes to find Charlene dressed and ready to leave.
What's going on?
There was a fire last night in my office. I have to get back to Mountain River. I got a flight out of LAX at 6:30, and my cab is here. I'll call you when I find out more.
Luke jumped out of bed and wrapped the sheet around himself.
So, you're going to leave me to ride all the way back to Alberta by myself?
I'm afraid so. I'm so sorry, baby. I gotta go.
She stopped and looked over his rugged face. Grabbing it with both hands, she kissed him goodbye.
I love you, Luke. I want you to know that I know you love me too. No matter what happens, I want you to know that.
Charlene spun on her high heel and walked to the door, barely slowing down to pass through it, tears starting to collect in her eyes as she pulled down her sunglasses and climbed into the taxi. Up the coast in Malibu, a famous romantic actor drove his new Ferrari over a cliff, killing himself and his friend, a famous professional hockey player. The obituaries would note that both men came from Mountain River, Alberta. Chapter 13. Hell to Pay. Luke couldn't help thinking Charlene was in trouble. He felt like he knew her somehow and that he had to act to save her. He didn't know what was wrong, but his instincts told him to act. He asked if the hotel could store his bike, and he caught a cab to the Reagan International Airport. He caught the first flight leaving for Calgary and arrived just as the sun was setting. He rented a car and plunged through the darkness, night to Mountain River. As he entered town, he could smell the smoke and see the burned-out shell of the building on Main Street where Charlene had her office. The local fire department was still dousing smoldering embers as wisps of smoke and steam rose in the air. Charlene's assistant, Bonnie, stood across the street, weeping into a ball of tissue.
What happened?
They don't know. The fire started in Charlene's office last night. It had been burning all day. They can't put it out.
Where's Charlene?
I don't know. I saw her earlier. She said something about having to do some things before she goes.
Goes where?
I don't know. She also said something about having to go pay her respects. I don't know. It's been crazy around here all day. The fire, people dying. It's been awful.
People dying?
5 people have died today, all clients of ours. Emmett Smith, the car dealer, he got run over by a car that started up in his showroom. And Nancy Kelly, the figure skating champion, she fell on the ice and smashed her head.
Who else is a client?
The mayor, the chief of police, most of the big businessmen in town, and the premier.
Thanks. I'm going to see what I can find. I'm going to see if I can find her.
Luke returned to his car and set off to find Charlene. He drove up and down the streets of Mountain River, cursing the lousy headlights and V6 engine of his rental car.
Poor old Wall Street banker hasn't got him many friends. He's taking all their money now, he's barely making ends. He has to go domestic to expensive Chardonnay. But when the check arrives, there's hell to pay. Hell to pay, hell to pay. The debt from down below came due today. You must make your reparations, it don't matter what you say. When the check arrives, there's hell to pay. The captains of our industry been sinking all their ships, swapping all their options and handing out pink slips. There's no one left to fire, they have shipped those jobs away. When the strikes arrive, there's hell to pay. Hell to pay, hell to pay. The debt from down below came due today. You must make your reparations, it don't matter what you say. When the strikes arrive, there's hell to pay. To get clean, we're dusting them for fingerprints and the rest of broken dreams. It's time to say time's up to all those creeps who got away. When the cops arrive, there's hell to pay. Hell to pay, hell to pay. The debt from down below came due today. You must make your reparations, it don't matter what you say. When the cops arrive, there's hell to pay. When the strikes arrive, there's hell to pay. When the check arrives, there's hell to pay.
That's a drunken one. Spirit of Tom Connors.
Chapter 14. What Could Have Been. Luke found Charlene at the cemetery, standing against the morning wind in front of two headstones. Luke hurried up to her and grabbed her in a tight hug. She turned inside his grasp and kissed him with sudden ferocity until she collapsed, ceding her weight to his arms and resting her glistening cheek on his chest.
What's going on? Are you all right?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sorry for what?
I shouldn't have brought you into this. I shouldn't have let you in. It was too dangerous.
Dangerous, babe. I've been shot at. Lots. There isn't much that scares me.
There should be. There are things about me you won't ever understand.
Charlene tore herself from Luke's grasp and put her face in her hands as she returned to face the headstones.
Why are you here, baby? Were these your parents?
No. My parents are buried over there.
Then who are these people?
Luke looked at the headstones for Ken and Janet McKellar.
I knew Ken well from his days drinking at Lucky's. Before he died, he did something that is very rare. He turned his life around, beat his demons, and lived out his days with the woman he loved. That was what I hoped for us.
Charlene turned back to Luke and embraced him again. He held her away from him and looked at her closely.
Tell me what's going on.
I can't. You wouldn't understand. I'm not like you. I'm not myself around you.
What? Are you some kind of axe murderer? Come on, babe. There's nothing you can tell me that will change how I feel about you.
Charlene pulled back from Luke, holding his gaze.
I did something a long time ago. I made a deal with the devil that I can't take back.
We all make mistakes. There isn't anything we can't get through. We all make deals that turn out bad, baby.
Not this bad, baby. Not this bad.
At that moment, Charlene flew up and back like she was pulled by a line in the sky. She became totally enveloped in a vortex of ash and fire. The maelstrom turned to pure bright flame as she changed before his eyes into her devil form. Her wings stretched back in agony as they burned, her form turning to soft ash and blowing away in the mountain breeze. As her form was consumed by the flames, her eyes reached out again to Luke. Somehow, through the flames, through the agony, she mouthed,
I love you.
Luke fell to his knees, dazed by what had just happened. He held 2 handfuls of soft gray ash as they too blew away in the wind. He was soon left with nothing but soft depressions in the cemetery grass to remind him that she had ever been there at all. Steeling himself, he rose to his feet and looked once more at the 2 headstones, 2 lovers together forever, and set out to find the devil.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Ruth Blay. Well, Flight Lieutenant Kenneth flew in bombers in the war. He made it through his tour, the lucky one in 4. Came home with big plans, but he settled down instead. Well, he and Janet got the farm, but the war got to his head. Well, they drank before they flew again and climbed up in them bombs. They drank when they got back, and they drank to those they lost. Ever quitting drinking wasn't nothing you would do when a bottle been on the thing to ever get you through. And he struggled with the demons that came to him every day, and he couldn't make them wait, and he couldn't make them pay. The comforts that came to him didn't give him any peace. He struggled in the daytime, was still fighting in his sleep. Well, there was whiskey with his buddies, tales of European mud. They shared a taste in fire, and they shared a bond in blood. They'd find him in the mud again, just lying on the ground. He couldn't always make it from the Legion Hall in town. And he struggled with the demons that came to him every day, and he couldn't make them wait, and he couldn't make them pay. The comforts that came to him didn't give him any peace. He struggled in the daytime, still fighting in his sleep.
All those years, she did her share of fighting, she cried her share of tears. He finally found some peace, lying warm in Janet's arms, safe from all those memories that did him all from harm.
And he struggled with the demons that came to him every day, and he finally made them wait if he couldn't make them pay. The comforts that came to him finally gave him some release, warm and safe in Janet's arms. He finally found some peace. Take us out, Ken.
Thank you very much.
Chapter 15, The Fiery Pit. Premier James sat in Lucky's, drinking vodka from a bottle that Lucky had left at his table. The scream of Luke's supercharged engine and the protest of his tires preceded him bursting through the door. He made a beeline for the Premier's table. Sweeping the table aside and flinging the bottle with it, he grabbed the shorter man by his collar and lifted his face close to his own.
Tell me what you know about Charlene.
The Premier threw back his head, laughing and sobbing at the same time.
You didn't know? Charlene is a devil! A real devil who works here for Satan himself. She writes contracts for him. She wrote one for me so that I could become a more powerful man. Not that it's worth anything now.
What do you mean?
Charlene must have done something to piss the devil off because her contracts are all being liquidated. Liquidated.
Luke dropped his grip of the Premier and stood back stunned. The older man took a long pull of the vodka still left in his glass.
So you mean all these people that have died since yesterday are being killed by the devil?
Well, he never acts directly. That doesn't matter much to the dearly departed. Doesn't matter much to me.
Luke stood back and let his head drop.
So you and all her other clients are going to hell.
That's the deal! Eternal damnation, pits of fire, you know the whole 9 circles.
And Charlene, where will she go?
I can't imagine she would go anywhere else.
Luke sat down heavily on a stool at the bar.
Lucky, can you do me a favor? Get me a whiskey and call the cops.
Why the cops?
Just do it, friend.
As he sat there nursing his whiskey, the Premier went to the bar to refill his vodka. A climbing siren stopped abruptly just before the 2 constables came through the door. Luke took one last pull of his drink and then moved behind the Premier, pulling and opening a folding knife from his pocket. He drove the blade straight into the side of the man's neck, then pushed the blade forward as he had been taught in Special Forces. He held the collapsing body for a moment, then let it drop to the side and rushed towards the approaching policeman with his knife still dripping blood and gore. He fell backwards as the 6th bullet entered his body. He dimly perceived the din of a dozen more shots reverberating through the old bar. Lucky ran from behind the bar. Lurching on his artificial leg, he held Luke's head as his heart failed and heard his last words.
I'm coming, baby.
A flash of white light blinded Lucky and the policeman just as the life left Luke's eyes. Luke's eyes opened from blackness to a swirling collage of green and gray, blue and burning orange as he tumbled through the air. As he roused, he realized his new wings were causing him to spin. He reflexively pulled them tight to his back. Using them to steer his descent, he aimed for a fiery cauldron below, filled with writhing, burning forms. With vision like an eagle hunting a field mouse, he spotted Charlene buried under bodies and ash, burning herself in perpetual fire. He spread his wings wide to slow his descent just in time. Through her burning, boiling eyes, Charlene saw Luke, glowing white with an eldritch energy reaching out for her.
Come on, love. We have work to do.
If you're going to hell, well, I'll follow you down. I would wrestle the devil to keep you around. In a world that's so dark, you're the light that I found. If you go into hell, well, I'll follow you down. I can't really say that I would have changed much. There was too many things to use as a crutch. So let me say sorry for using you too. I didn't know what else I was supposed to do. If you go into hell, I'll follow you down. I will wrestle the devil to keep you around. In a world that's so dark, you're the light that I found. If you go into hell, well, I'll follow you down. Well, girl, I love you, Lord above. You've got to know by now. Should darkness take me, it won't make me ever break my vow. We're all going to hell for the things that we done. When the money moves in, all that's holding moves on. The sulfur and flames won't be the worst part. It's knowing the role I played with my heart. If you go into hell, well, I'll follow you down. I would wrestle the devil to keep you around. In a world that's so dark, you're the light that I found. If you go into hell, well, I'll follow you down. I'll go into hell for the things that we done. When money moves in, all that's holding moves on. The sulfur and flames won't be the worst part. It's knowing the role that I played with my heart. You go into hell, well, I'll follow you down. I will wrestle the devil to keep you around. In a world that's so dark, you're the light that I found. If you go into hell, well, I'll follow you down. If you go into hell, well, I'll follow you down. If you go into hell, I'll follow you down. Thank you, everybody. Get over here. Get over here, everybody. Come on. Our friends from Rapid Fire Theater. Let me try it here like that. Our very, very special friend, Ruth Blake. I'm not going to mess up her hair. I know better than that. And my very good friends, the newly married Ray Olson. The not so newly married Doug LaRue. And Ken Yurchuk. Come on, give it up. What a player, man. Thank you all so much. We hope to see you again. We'll probably be doing this again in the new year. And thank you.
Thank you.